Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me all right? How's it going? Testing, testing. What's going on, fellas?
Yeah,
Um,
yes, I can hear you.
all right. Let me
I can hear you. Yeah.
Perfect. Let me share the 6 questions that I normally put in the chat. Uh, by the way, this is getting recorded and it may be shared on social media. So please, if you don't want your face, keep camera off. If you do, all good. I recommend you don't mention your company name. Other than that, pretty standard. So put your answers to the 6 questions in the chat. I will go in order of first come, first serve, and I will do my best to try to get to everybody in the next 30 minutes. So please take a second and we'll get the party started uh whenever somebody replies. Yeah, Jay, I'm DMing you to see if we can set up.
Yes, sir, but I just want to talk to you regarding something else.
Sure. Let me do this then. Reach out to the CSM to set up an appointment and we can talk one-on-one. That way I can reserve the time here for the new prospects. Sounds good?
I mean, it's only like a couple of minutes if you can, because I have call with my CSM today, so I'll talk to him at 6 p.m. EST.
Sure. What's the thing? Go for it.
Yeah, the thing is, I took my goal package regarding everything is covered and jobs applying and everything. I got my onboarding the last week on Sunday. Now they're saying that I don't have any experience in computer science to put internship. I need to pay extra.
You don't have any. So are they talking about the internship add-on that we have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we have an add-on with an internship if you want to do an internship with us. But if you don't want to do it, then you can just put the projects on the resume. Is
Okay,
that more
but
clear?
yeah, but will I get like it's kind of like in a weird spot because I quit my job and joined this course to keep 100%. But no, the sales guy, which I talked, he never said anything about this, and now it's like putting internship will be helpful. That's what he said. Like we'll just add some experience, and now they're asking for extra payment on internship, which
Got it.
is
So you're
like
saying like the original enrollment advisor didn't tell you about all the add-ons that we had.
no, the salesperson, the salesperson I have got in the course.
Got it. The original enrollment advisor.
Exactly, because when I
Yeah.
said I don't have any experience, how will I get job? He said, "We'll put an internship." And I have asked you in
So
this
just to be
call.
clear, you don't need the internship. Like you don't have to do it. It's just like an extra thing people want. Does that make sense? And so like
Yeah,
I get it. I get that you want it, but you don't need it. Does that make sense? It's
yeah,
like if you bought a medium fry and then you're like, wait a second, I wish I had a large fry. It's like, well, cool. You will still have lunch with your medium
I get it.
fry,
But
but if
if
you
I
want the
have
large,
internship, I'll have more opportunities, and I might get like couple of grand extra in my
sure,
package, right?
sure,
But
yeah.
they said everything is included. That's why I took the gold package, and now it's like extra, which is not like little extra, which is more extra, which
Sure, I
seems like
totally
unfair for me
understand. Well,
for not
okay,
like
let's do
explaining
this.
everything in
Let's
the
take
first
this
thing.
offline because
Okay.
this sounds more of a negotiation than it does like a what do we do here? Because I totally understand your side, but at the same time, I think the enrollment advisor is saying you have everything you need here. If you want this, then great. But it's not like we include everything in the first package because that would cost $100,000. Does that make sense? Like I can say the same thing with like, well, if you have AI will also be useful, but to buy AI separately would cost $15,000. It doesn't mean that that should be included in the first package. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But he didn't explain me in a way that he said we'll keep an
Totally
internship or
understand.
experience.
Yeah,
But
totally
it's
understand.
it's like it's like kept me in a weird spot because I quit my job for this training and I logged in and I have
So,
enough
Jay,
savings.
I don't have all the context as to why the enrollment advisor didn't mention all 30 things that we have to sell, right? And so
Yeah.
what we can do is we can take this offline because again, I just don't have the context of how that conversation went. And so it
Yeah, I'll
you
talk to
know,
my CSM and we can just connect later on. I'm sorry
sure,
for,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. It's not, you know, either way, you will be fine. You have enough in the base package to be fine.
Mhm.
Um, just for everyone else's purpose, by the way, I highly don't recommend you quit your job. I don't know why you did that, Jay. Just being transparent. I hope the enrollment advisor didn't tell you to do that. I would never
No,
tell you to
he
do
didn't
that.
say it, but I just want to keep like
So
enough
cool.
efforts
I
and
just want to make it
hours.
clear for everybody. Like, we're not like,
Got it.
I want to make it clear that we're not telling you to quit. And so I just want to make sure like everyone else is like, not like, wow, they told him to quit. Like, that's not the scenario here.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm glad to see you're committed. It's just I personally wouldn't have done it, and I don't recommend anyone else do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. Just wanna
I,
set the
I
tone for
trust you
everybody.
100%. That's why I did it. So.
No, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's just like you don't have to, right? But I get it. Now that you have 40, 50 hours a week to do this course,
Exactly.
put in
Exactly.
put in all the hours that you can, and let's get you there as soon as possible. Make sense?
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Cheers, buddy. Okay, let's go to who's the first person. Okay, I'm gonna go to Martin because he followed the prompt. Martin, 18 years to 18, kind of here just observing what younger ones are concerned with. Oh, don't be scared about your age if that's what you meant there. No questions, but here looking for perspective. I work remote, so I don't get to hear juniors' voices, their questions. Cool, man. Are you looking to get a new role, or are you uh like are you concerned about your age, Martin?
Sorry, I had to turn off my little sleep noise here that keeps me. So I think what it is for me is, yeah, I got a nice long-standing gig. I'm trying to work out the confidence to do consulting. And or yeah, I'm at a crossroads, and I'm answering
When
that
you say
to myself.
consulting, do you mean like start your own business type of thing?
Yeah, yeah. That basically, once
Cool.
you age out of being a direct hire fodder, sometimes it looks attractive. Or do I get in, basically internal moral issues with controlling other people's lives by being a manager, right? So that's the way that goes. But yeah, otherwise, just like hearing young people who are less senior kind of talk about what they're concerned with getting involved now. So hope you don't mind me lurking.
No, no, no. No problem lurking at all. I guess my big question is I just want to understand like, is your goal to enhance your salary or enhance like your lifestyle, like in terms of like,
It,
hey, I want to start my own,
we'll call it a long-term
entrepreneurial venture?
perspective, right? I spent about 20 years being a hired on resource for and that's been nice. But I think the longer span of continuity will have to do with combining what you and I already kind of know about in the field and then like the oncoming
Right.
subjects, how to attack semantic layers and things like that. So I'm kind of trying to merge all this sort of thought stream together and think like, okay, consulting to what attitude, to what sort of what am I going to who am I going to be cooking for, so to speak. Um,
Yeah. So totally understand from a tech perspective. I guess from like a optimal next step, like what does that look like for you? Not from a tech perspective, but from like a career perspective.
I think
Like
for me,
if
and this
you
is it's the opposite of like what folks here. They're taking your course. They want to learn how to get that those first few leaps over into age of engineering. For me, I think how to basically relearning managerial communication, relearning the aspects of kind of selling yourself and the because basically I burnt my personal skills getting technical skills. And so I'm kind of going backwards again.
typically is the case.
Yeah, yeah. So you're like,
Yeah,
oh
I
crap,
hear
I
you.
forgot how to talk to people. So that's kind of that's I guess something in the wind of that is where I'm headed. That might end up being just, okay, maybe there is the right org that has a managerial slot and the right kind of culture that works out for me, but I don't really that I don't expect it. You know what I mean? But yeah, with a pretty well established media org, I'm okay with that. I mean, anything could happen, we're all rolling out Claude in places and getting freaked out about it and so on. But that's not what this conversation's about. So
So I see two routes for you, and let me know if I'm off. You can start your own business, get a few
yeah,
roles as an IC. We have a lot of clients that will get like two, three roles, 150, 200 grand each, and then they're making, 400 to 600 grand a year. And they
right.
basically have their own little consulting firm, kind of like you're saying. And then if one drops out, they get another one. And then if they get burnt out because they're working too many hours, they can get another role that replaces like one or two of the current roles. And then, they'll keep the ones that are less hours and that they've, fully
Exactly. A
automated
skill
and
unto
use tech.
itself, right? So that's the thing. And so
Exactly.
that's kind of what I'm
But
headed
that's
back to. But
why
not to cut you
but
off.
that's why I
Sorry.
ask you that question of like, do you care about the money or your, quote unquote lifestyle, right? Because if your goal, like if you told me your goal was just like, hey, I want to make 300 grand as a either as an IC or a manager, then like that path is pretty straightforward. You
Yeah,
just have to go to the next job and phase of your career. Because at 18 years, like I'm assuming you're slightly underpaid. So we can still
exactly.
go to that 300 grand
Yeah,
range, get
I took the
equity, etc.
you're right. You're right. And equity's been good to me too. But and still is. I think that the thing is exactly as you say. I'm looking at like, oh, can I kind of go global? Are there emerging economies that want to speak to like someone who's been doing what we do for 15 years? Like so. Those are the sorts of legs I'm trying to grow. Like not just but primarily skill set one, like you said, is understanding how to organize your own bench, so to speak, of clients versus being a paid resource.
So going global, when you say going global, you mean like
Yeah,
locally, like
yeah,
internationally?
maybe go to some meetups in South America, maybe see if there's other company like
Well, I'll
just
tell you,
yeah.
the downside is that like if you get a client in South America, they're going to pay you half of what it would be in the US.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
But you also get relationships. Like those things can walk you to other places, to things that you wouldn't be trusted to do in the States, depending on how people regard themselves and what like it might get you a
Right.
swing at a project you wouldn't have a swing at too.
Right.
So and
Right.
then
Right. Right. Right.
so that's like you kind of you still have one leg back in the States. So there's plays to be made. I'm just trying to figure out which thing I want to organize first. But
Yeah, and
that's
that
yeah,
and
I'm
that goes
sorry.
back to my question like is your first like if you had
No,
to go
yeah.
get your next goal, is it just money or is it like, hey, I want this journey to
I
go on and get multiple clients and do my own thing?
I
It's a
look for the
personal choice is
projects
what
of
I'm trying to say.
ambition that get the money, right? So like I am of the like I'm looking for projects of ambition that then get the money. Like I'm not gonna of course I'm gonna say money. I expect to be paid. I expect to and I expect to negotiate with people on billable hours. But on the same thing, I'm kind of trying to at least cast a wider net because I could definitely go hand to mouth, find contracts and just work with that.
Yeah, then there you go. I think you
Yeah,
answered your own question, right? Because it's like
exactly. Which is why I
at the
said
end of
no
the day,
question.
you're saying money is important, but like it always will be, right? But like if
Yeah,
you're saying like, hey, I want to go on this journey and I want to try to get multiple clients, then it's a personal
exactly.
decision. Now the question is, what's stopping you from doing it? And
Yeah.
I won't put words in your mouth, but it's the F word, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Primarily that. All right. Well, I don't mean
Primarily
to
the F word. Yeah. But it's
don't want
okay.
to hog the pulpit here. All
You're
right, guys.
good. Have you spoken to anyone yet at the company?
Uh, at
Like an
at
enrollment
work.
advisor at DA?
Oh no. I've been
Okay.
on
Do
the
you want to speak to somebody?
I think I mean I was going to the I don't know yet if I do. I'm just
Sure.
I'm still just kind of imagineering. You know.
Yeah, you're lurking. You're lurking.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks.
Later, buddy. Paul, senior scientist, 140, wants to go to data engineer, make 200. How do course modules and projects different from modules and projects in other educational systems like LeetCode or Coursera? It doesn't really. It's not the reason you buy something like this. Because if Coursera and LeetCode and YouTube and ChatGPT and Reddit and Stack Overflow and blah, blah, blah could get you to that next phase of your career, you would have done it in 7 days, right? But like, that's not the thing that people struggle with when they come and join us, right? And so again, like we have our own projects for AWS and system design and we use our own data and like that you can't replicate. But like if you look at our Python module, like yeah, you can probably just do it on LeetCode or YouTube or Code Academy, right? Like it's nothing fancy, right? Minus some AI stuff, right? But like the benefit is like if you want the one-on-ones, the scaling of the applications, the group calls, the Slack channel so that you can ask real instructors, the ability to have a resume formatted to the way and like added to the way that we already know converts because we send out 10,000 applications a month. And so we know what resume is actually going to convert before we even start, right? Because we have all that data. If you want to shortcut your path to your next role, that's why you work with us. If you are okay waiting a year or two and kind of figuring things out on your own and doing LeetCode and kind of trying to piece everything together, that's totally fine as well. I think it's just a personal choice. Does that make sense, Paul?
It does. I do have another, I think, a follow-up question.
Go for it.
I did speak with the
Advisor.
first advisor, and I had asked some information about the data. How many people have actually gone through a program similar to, for example, the Gold that you offer?
I think it's probably around 1,800 to 2,000 people.
Okay, that's how long have you guys been in business?
Less than 3 years.
That's quite a lot of people. Yeah, all right.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
we've been working. We've been busy.
yeah. So how many, if I could ask then, how many, as far as your modules, are they like instructors that, you've like known that help design these, or are these like pre-designed in like I said, similar to one of these other existing programs?
Yeah, good question. So I would say about 70-80% of the content that we have, the original people who created them are still here. They're still instructors, right? All good. Obviously, there's going to be instructors that come and go, right? We used to have a lot of people that used to work for Facebook. They used to work here, no longer the case, right? Just because they're like, Facebook's gone very aggressive with, wanting them to work 10 hours a day, stuff like that, right? So with that said, though, the content itself is in every variation. And so what I mean by that is you will get the videos, you will get the documents with the videos. You'll be able to ask questions in your Slack channel surrounding that material. You'll be able to have one-on-ones with the instructors or the people that created the content to say, hey, I didn't get this part. Can you explain it? Blah, blah, blah. You have AI bots and AI tools to help you with that. You will have 30 group calls a week. You don't have to attend all of them, so please don't get overwhelmed, but you attend the ones that are corresponding. You have a group community where you can ask a question and other students can go and answer those questions. And so like basically my point is that like we have found that everybody has a different style of learning. Some people are audio, some people are visual, some people are speaking, some people have, want to do role plays and mock interviews because they learn better that way. So it just really depends on what it is you need. But we want to give you every channel and then you decide which one's the best format. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Follow-up question though, I think I'll just put it in the chat if that's all right. If I remember.
No, you can ask it here. No worries.
Yeah, I can't remember it. Thank you.
Oh, got it. When you remember, just put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you, Paul. And you talked to somebody already? You're good to go.
I did so far talk with someone, yes.
Cheers, buddy. My man, Gary, network engineer, DE. What type of industry problems will we be taught to solve? Good question. So a lot of it is going to have to do with building infrastructure. There is some data analysis, but again, I'm personalizing this to you because you said data engineering. So it's going to be infrastructure based. And so I'll give you an example. Let's say you're American Express. American Express is, they need to have a fraud detection system, right? Because if I take out my Amex at 2 a.m, they're going to be like, this is weird. Chris isn't usually up at 2 a.m, let alone spending something at 2 a.m, right? So a fraud detection system needs to alert. And even though that tech seems simple, there's actually like 20 AWS tools that go into building that system, right? And so you need to do it in real time. You need to have alerts. You need to store the data somewhere. You need to have historical analysis of his, my purchasing patterns, right? And so my point of this is that the infrastructure curriculum, the curriculum that you learn that is about infrastructure is also having to do with real companies' use cases. Let me know if that's helpful.
Yes, that's very helpful actually. That was kind of some of the framework I was. So I was a military analyst, which does not necessarily 100% convert, right? But then I also had been doing IT for
a handful of different companies before I went independent and had my own company. I didn't really originally want to go the MSP route. So I do a lot of I I ended up still kind of doing a lot of the MSP stuff, managed service provider, but I do a lot of the actual physical infrastructure side. So actually designing and then going out and building out the team,
Yeah.
training, getting everything built out. So but there was always a longing from a lot of uh, a lot of the project managers or program managers. I mean, a lot of the program managers that I work with, I come at a project very analytical, and I actually build out a lot of tools and a lot of systems myself.
Right on.
And they enjoy they're they're head over heels, and that's really a lot of the things that has kept us going ever since I started back in 2021. So for the last 5 years, um, I get called hands down mostly because of a lot of the systems that I put in place to not only effectively manage myself, but manage my clients and everything that, they didn't know to ask,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
You got to have business context, business knowledge in order to ask the right questions. 100%.
route to that. And so, um, data analyst and data engineering was always a field I was always very interested in. And that you answered my question, like, okay, and believe it or not, even without the title, those are problems that I've put in place
Yeah.
lots of times.
Yeah. You
You
just did
know,
on the network engineering side instead of the data
it,
engineering side.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
So
The thing
that,
is,
and I
like,
was just,
tools are always tools,
mhm,
but like business problems are always business problems. And that's my biggest thing
100%.
with AI. Everybody's like, we're going to use AI here. We're going to use AI here. I'm like, who cares? Like, what problem is it solving? Right. It's
And
just like that ML engineer that tries to use ML for everything. I'm like, just use an Excel sheet. You have like 1,000 rows. You don't need an ML algo. Right. So,
geez,
like,
yeah,
it's people are thinking about AI the wrong way, in my opinion. But that's
100%.
a whole different story.
Definitely, and I've seen that even when I was working with a company. I got moved up to their regional management over in Europe, and they were like so excited to think that switching from Google Sheets and Excel was going to just to Smart Sheets was going to just all of a sudden just solve all these problems, like it
Yeah.
just straight out the box. And I'm like, no, everything that we could have already
Right.
built out, the macros we could already put in place, the different, those things were already being solved, and we already had a system in place for a lot of that stuff. And now you're asking us to rebuild it in Smart Sheets because
Right.
the owner's daughter used it at her job. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah. You're thinking
same
about it the
thing.
right way. Cool, man.
Roger that.
Have you
I
talked to
appreciate
anyone
it.
yet at the company?
I have, yes. I've talked to someone once, but I definitely want to get a few more. Like I understand what it is for the most part, but I'm just like, okay, well, I'm almost in line to the first gentleman. I think it was
Yeah.
Martin,
Yeah.
where uh, kind of having this as a pillar in my current company versus looking to have myself personally employed. And that's kind of, but I'm unlike him. I don't have a background directly in this industry.
Super profitable, man. Like the clients that we have that go that route are just so happy with us because it's like you're basically make a 10x return on your investment with us like within 6 months. And the thing
Yeah,
is, it's a skill set that never goes away because then you
Roger.
can always learn how to get a third client and a fourth client and how to negotiate, right? That's really important, and how to get
That's the
equity.
part.
And it's literally like, yeah, it's yeah. If you're
Definitely.
thinking about that route, obviously you need to have experience to do it, but I'm assuming you have 10 to 20 years experience.
Yes, I have about 22, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, 20,
you're good
22
then.
years,
You're good.
23, something like that.
Yeah, that makes it. You'll be fine.
Appreciate
Cool.
it.
Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate
Chris
you.
Ross, clinical research. Wanted to get into data engineering or area specialized. Yeah, well, let's see how metrics of graduates, like percent of any role in 6 months, and what percent what roles those typically do. Cool. So 80 to 90%, I would say, are either a data analyst or data engineer. Obviously, if you're not in tech, you're going to go more for a data analyst. If you're in tech, you're probably going for a data engineer. The rest of them are in our technical program manager role or some AI engineering role. The reason it's a small percentage is because we just launched those pathways like 6 months ago, versus data engineering we've been doing for 3 years. Now, in terms of how many land a role within 6 months, it is typically if you have some sort of tech background. So if you have no tech background, you're more likely to fall in the 6 to 12 month background. I'm assuming you don't have a tech background given you're in clinical research, so you'll probably fall between the 6 and 12 month. So just remember that. In terms of what percentage land in the 6 month, I'd say about half. But again, that's half of those that have a tech background, right? Because they are able to do the education portion in anywhere between like 2 to 4 months, and then the remaining time they use to find a role. So obviously the whole point of this is that it's not like one structured curriculum. The whole point is that we look at where you are, where you're trying to go. We create a personalized curriculum for you. And then based on that and based on how many hours a week you're able to put in, that is how quickly you'll be able to move through the program. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yeah, yeah, and just that does make sense. It's good to hear some metrics.
Sure.
Just to clarify and kind of give me a little more insight here. So
Yeah.
I work in clinical research, sometimes as a scientist, sometimes as like operations. I do have a tech background, so I've worked at Apple and Meta recently. So like most
Do you
of,
know how to code?
I do know how to code. Yeah,
What languages?
Python
Okay.
and R, since I'm studying
Okay.
so like some data science probability coursework at
Sure.
CU Boulder.
Okay.
I mean,
Do you know SQL by any chance?
I do not. No, I know that's a big thing to get into.
That's okay. If you know Python, you saved yourself a month. So
Okay.
again, now instead of like in the 12 month, like 10 to 12 month range, maybe you'll be in the 6 to 9 month range. But again, also depends how many hours you put in, how quickly you adapt to things,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I was affected by some of the layoffs recently at Meta, so for
Oh,
me,
okay. So you have
yeah,
a lot of time.
yeah, I got some time right now. So,
There you go. There you
I
go.
guess my follow-up question is, yeah, the program, it does have a cost to it.
Uh-huh.
There are, I think you mentioned earlier, what's the difference between this, Coursera, LeetCode? I understand there's a personalization that comes with this program. What else can you speak about in terms of, making the jump into, spending the 15K?
Well, it's
What outcome?
speed.
Okay.
It's speed. So let me ask you this. You've never had a data analyst or data engineering role, right?
I've done tasks like that, but never a role like that.
Right. So
Yeah.
based on not having that on your resume, how long do you think, if you were to do it on your own, how long do you think it's going to take?
It's hard to say. I can't see the top of the mountain from where I'm at.
That's the problem. And humans, you're smart, so you probably know this already. Humans tend to be very over optimistic, right? 90% of people think they're above 50% of average looking, good looking men, right? And that can't be right? Because
Yeah.
statistically it's only 50%, right? But 90% are like, I'm in the top half. I'm like, ooh, ooh, I don't know about that, right? But my whole point is that like if you in your head think like I can get a role doing this by myself in 3 to 6 months, you're probably off by 2x. And
Okay.
so it's probably going to take you 9 to 12 months because you're going to go on Coursera and YouTube and you're going to study Linux, and then you're going to get on the data engineer interview and you're like, holy shit, but this Reddit post told me to do Linux, but I have no, like Linux isn't on the interview at all.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I got the job. But wait, Linux isn't even on the job. What the hell? And so the whole point is that like, yes, you are smart enough to do this on your own. You can probably use ChatGPT and Coursera and blah, 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 but it's going to take you longer. And so that's the thing you're paying for. You're paying for speed. And then the question is, what is 6 months worth to you? If you were making 200 grand at Google, or I said Facebook, the way I look at it is, well, 6 months of your time is worth 100 grand. Do you really want to waste 100 grand of your time trying to do this on your own, getting confused, getting overwhelmed, getting stressed, and then figuring out, wow, I didn't need to learn that in the first place. Now, I'll add one more component to the speed. When's the last time you applied for roles?
I've been out of a job for about 2 weeks, so just this week I've been applying.
How many did you apply to?
Average one a day, so about 7, maybe a little more.
Cool. So you applied to 14 jobs the last 14 days. Is that right?
Just about, maybe a little under, yeah.
Cool. Have you gotten any offers or interviews?
No interviews, no offers. No.
Right. And so what most people don't realize, and this is useful for everybody, that's why I'm going deep here. Not to pick on Chris. I just want to go deep for everybody's sake. It's probably going to take you around 200 to 400 applications to get a job. If you're averaging one application a day, it's literally going to take you 200 to 400 days just for the job apply phase. That's not even including the education portion, the mock interview portion, and actually figuring out what a good resume converts at. So I just want to put that into perspective.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like you have 200 to 400 applications or 200 to 400 days to spare.
No.
Fair to say?
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, the information is on Coursera. That's not the thing. The
Mhm.
thing is, A, when you spend money, you're going to pay attention. Can't tell you how many of those books I haven't read, right? Because they only cost $5, right?
Yeah.
But if you pay 5 figures, you're going to pay attention. And more importantly, we're going to get you there so much faster. Now, here's the main question for you, Chris. If you're unemployed, do you have the mental capacity to go through this program while you're like, where is income coming from? Like, did you get a good severance? Do you have good unemployment checks? Like, are you in a position to hold off for a few months, maybe a few quarters?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay.
I think the main. I mean, these are good points you're bringing up, and yeah, there is a runway there. I do have a part-time job that I work at on side hustle stuff.
Okay, great. And then you
Um,
get the unemployment checks and the severance as well.
yeah, small severance. Meta's so-so with that. The
Really?
unemployment.
They didn't give more than
No,
like
actually, it was
3 months.
contract work, contract. Yeah, so I was
Got
surprised
it.
to get a severance, to be honest. Um,
By the
I,
way, Gary, this is important right here. Like if you do contract work, you always want to have your next job on the bench because contractors tend to be the first to get let go.
yeah,
Tell
they
me
do.
about
Sorry,
it.
Chris. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, it's all
Yeah,
good, all good. I think I had one more question was,
Sure.
so I think my background, like I said, is clinical research scientist. I have experience in coding in R. I'm learning. I have Python too, and I'm doing some data science coursework right now at CU Boulder. I don't have too much exposure to data
See, that's what I'm
engineering.
saying. You're doing data science work, but you don't have to. See how you're
Yeah,
wasting a
yeah,
little bit
yeah.
of time and effort? That's what I'm saying.
Well, for me,
Be ca-
it was an exploration of like, do I want to go data science route or do I want to
I
do?
know, but the exploration comes from the lack of clarity. That's what most people don't realize. Because next week you're going to be like, I really want to learn this AI stuff, and next thing you know, it's like, cool. Well, if you want to get a D job, we're spinning wheels here. You see what I'm saying?
What would you recommend I do to get more exposure to data
Python,
engineering?
SQL, system design, AWS, and data modeling, right? That's going to be the big one for you. And I'm saying this because you said you wanted to get into data engineering. Now, the thing is, it's still very vague because when I say AWS, well, AWS has 1,000 tools. What we know is we know the 80/20. We know the 20 tools that are going to be in 80% of the job application. So we can point you to those 20 tools. And again, I'm happy to share it here. I'm not,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Kinesis, Kafka, SNS, SQS, blah, 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 right? Like Lambda, S3. But again, you trying to like piece those tools together, that's where it's like, you can get in a very, very bad, you can go into the wrong rabbit hole. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to clarify, my question is about the tools, but it's also I haven't done any data engineering work yet to know if I can just enjoy it. What would you recommend I do prior to jumping into this program to
Well,
like get?
do you enjoy the data science stuff?
I do, yeah.
You enjoy it. If you like, because you seem analytical
Hmm.
and you seem to like numbers, right? You'll like the data engineering, data analyst, data science. They tend to be in one bucket, right?
Yeah.
Um, like, I'm curious, why haven't you learned SQL? Right? If you're starting to learn all these things on the side, why not start with SQL? Because SQL fits in data analyst, data engineering, and data science.
To be honest, my last position, which got me into doing it, they were primarily using Python, so it was more of a necessity.
Yeah. I would look into SQL value first. I mean, I would start this program so that we can actually point you in the right stuff because again, that's my biggest fear for you is that you just spin your wheels for the next couple of months until you realize, oh, I didn't actually need to learn this. Um, I think you'll like SQL. I think you'll pick it
Okay.
up very, very quickly from what I'm hearing. If you know Python, SQL will be a breeze. Um, but SQL is needed in every single company, and
Okay.
so you can't go wrong learning that one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool, cool. Appreciate it. And you already talked to somebody?
I did. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out again.
Cool, cool. Sounds great. I wish you the best and hope to see you inside. I genuinely don't want you to waste your time. Cheers,
Thanks.
Chris. Um, Paul said, how is successive completion of modules, mastery of knowledge, and skill measured? In two ways. Number one, we track everything, meaning we can see if you actually completed the work on the portal. So we have tracking. And the second one is we actually want you to see how you perform in the interview. This is the part that like most people don't get. It's like just because you went through the course doesn't mean you know it, and just because you know it doesn't mean you can interview on it, right? We've all done a course on Coursera that we 2x speed, and then an hour later you're like, what the hell did I just learn? Right? Like we've all done it, right? We've all listened to the audiobook and you're like, I have no idea what that chapter was about, right? So number one is doing it. Number two is showing that you know it. And then number three is, okay, how do I answer these questions on the interview? By the way, Chris, this is useful for you too, right? just because you learn SQL or just because you learn AWS on Coursera, it doesn't mean you know how to answer these questions on the actual interview, right? Knowing SQL and interviewing in SQL, two totally different ball games. So the problem with Coursera, in my opinion, is they don't actually teach you how to ace the actual interview and how do you actually get a job. You have to ace the interview and you have to do it in 30 minutes. They don't just send you a quiz and say, hey, did you do Coursera? Yes or no? Cool. Yes. Cool. Then you got the job. So again, just you got to focus on what actually gets you the role. And in these days, it's the interview. Um, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm sorry in advance. Benga. My son is a junior in UGA. Nice. CS major, interested in the program. As an add-on to his bachelor's, is he able to get a full-time job before graduation in 2027, or should he wait till after graduation? I mean, he's absolutely able to get a job. What month is he graduating, Bengo?
It's going to be summer 2027, Chris.
Okay. Okay. So right now is a good time because if he has to learn all the things he has to learn, and I know colleges, they probably aren't teaching the data engineering stuff, although they
They're
probably
not.
are teaching at least comp sci basics, right? So that's a good start for him. Um, he should do it now because my guess is when he's in college, he's not going to move as quickly as he could if he, was like doing it full time, like the other gentleman here. And so he can do it now and then get a full time role in like 12 months from now. And so my recommendation for you is you should go back to your enrollment advisor and ask them to make it a 15-month contract for your son. We can throw in the 3 extra months for free because for him, that way it lines up with the summer when he needs to get his role by. But yeah, I mean, I got a role, 7 months before college ended, right? And so like companies know that they are planning for the future with the lining up with college graduations. Companies are used to that. Does that make sense?
It does, Chris, and thanks for that. So also on top of that, so he's a very good self-learner. He's gotten some AWS certification, CCP, and system architecture. So he's doing
Yeah.
that quite ahead. So, but he talked about data engineering. He also codes in Python. I don't know about SQL. I'll ask him. Regarding so for the job, right? So he's asking that if he gets this one, again, he's trying to manage his work schedule in school,
Sure.
but he's kind of like interested in just getting into the game real quickly. So for
Yeah.
the 15-month contract, would that be that would also accommodate his schedule, right, in school?
Exactly.
And then if for any reason there's a need to extend it because of school, are you flexible with that?
So since I just threw in 3 free months, I would say if you need to throw in another 6 months, at least pay like half the tuition, and then we can give you a discount on that. So it'd be like 25% of the tuition. Um, I also just gave you an extra 3 months. We wanna hold the line at somewhere because then some people will be like, well, life got in the way. Can you extend it for an extra year? And it's like, whoa, I gotta pay for the instructors regardless of whether you guys show up or not, right? So with that said, remember we have 30 classes a week. Your son should be able to attend the classes that best fit his schedule. I get it. I get it. Those are busy times. I used to have 2 jobs in college and then full workload as well, and then this stuff as well on the side. And so, meaning like preparing to get a job as well. And so I totally get it. I think he will be able to do what he needs to do in 15 months, though. I think he should have more than enough.
Thanks. And one final question, Chris.
Sure.
So, does it matter if he gets an internship this summer or next summer? Is it critical to success?
It isn't necessary. It also doesn't hurt. If he does, great. If you want us to help scale his applications for an internship, we can also do that as well. We can just move the job apply chip forward and work with that. I'll tell you what you need to be ready for people in college. The problem with people in college is that companies want people that have experience, but he is like, well, I need a job in order to get experience. So how do I get a job? And
Mhm,
companies are like, well, I want people with experience, right? It's this vicious cycle of like,
mhm,
what do I do here? And so what tends to happen for somebody like your son is it's just a volume game. And so, for
mhm,
example, like if somebody on the call, let's say Gary applied to a bunch of jobs or Martin applied to a bunch of jobs, 100 jobs, he might get anywhere between 4 and 7% success rate is what we see. So you might get 4 to 7 interviews for 100 applications, which only take us a week. But for your son, it might only be 1%. And so we're literally going to have to apply to 5 to 10 times more jobs just to get him the same amount of interviews. And so just be ready for that. That is the biggest blocker you'll probably see, but it doesn't mean it's not possible.
Okay. Well, thanks, Chris. I'm speaking with a CSM, but I just wanted to hear from you as well, what this is going to look like. Thanks, Asil. I'll stay here and just keep listening.
Sure. Pleasure to meet you, man.
Same here.
Anuj, hospitality manager, wants to go from 80 to 120, data engineer. Wants to go from hospitality manager to data engineer and then data architect. Cool. What can I answer for you, Anuj?
Hey, how are you, Christopher?
I'm good. Good to meet you.
Yeah, so I've been currently working in hospitality industry since last 7 years. I worked as an IT engineer back in
Nice.
2018 and 2019. But I had a back surgery, so I was in hospital for almost 6 months, and then I
Sorry to hear
completely
that.
left the IT industry.
Was that a herniated disc?
No, actually, I had a cyst in my lower back where my
Oh, okay.
spine ends, so I wasn't really able to sit on the chair for a very long time.
Tough. Well, sorry to hear that. Glad it's better.
Okay, well, I currently have a job, but as I believe you were mentioning before, that you also have a program for the internship. So if we do plan to join that internship, do we get paid,
No, so
or
it's
is
an
just for the
unpaid,
experience?
yeah, it's for experience. It's an unpaid internship. It's also only as an add-on. So meaning like it wouldn't make sense for someone like you if you don't have a data engineering background or skill set. And
Okay,
because like we can't just give you an internship without teaching you all the things because then you're just lying on your resume and we don't
okay,
want that. So you do have to learn the
okay. Well,
things
I've
to
I've
work with
worked
one
as
of
a
our
data
companies.
engineer, but as I said, it has been 7 years now. So basically, I'm
Okay,
starting as a scratch.
understood. Then that is possible. We would just have to do a skill assessment to figure out if you actually know all the data engineering stuff. Make sense?
Yes,
Cool, awesome. And you spoke to someone already. It sounds like
yes, I spoke to Logan already.
cool, cool. To Logan, your mic's off.
Sorry, that's all.
Got it. Cool, cool. Pleasure, man. Let's go to yeah. No worries, Martin. You know what's funny, man, Martin? Like AI is not actually it's actually not that good for job apply. It's kind of good, but it's not as good as you would think. It's a little good. Um,
I think as like
nice.
I was like kind of an original sweaty job applier. I remember like, oh wait, it took me I remember I recorded this. It was like 709 applications in 2008 because of the economic state of things, but also as a fresh grad to get hired. But I'm seeing like you're right, it's not good. People are still just using it, which means there's all this other if it'll add fatigue to hiring managers to recruiting people. Basically, it's just adding stress to the system is what I meant.
I predict there's going to be more and more of a video filter, meaning like recruiters in the future are going to ask that you film a video like this and send it when you apply to jobs because then they can see, oh, this person is articulate, this person is dressed well, this person spent the time to create a personalized video instead of shooting one video and sending it out to 100 applications. um, I think companies in the future have to add a filter in order to make the process more efficient for them because I agree it's again, we're kind of part of the problem because we have a whole team that will apply to jobs for you, but like we're trying to serve you as the customers, but we also understand the business side because when I put up a job post, I also get 100 applications a day, and it's brutal to go through, and 99.9 of them are not good, which is by the way the same problem these companies hiring for data professionals are having. Right? They'll put out a job description, 1,000 people apply in the first day. 99.9 of them have an awful resume, which is again why we're so successful because we know what resume converts and we know what doesn't. And so we can just mimic your resume to that and make sure you fill in your gaps that way. So there's an advantage to our scale. Um,
Agreed.
but I'm gonna let you guys go. Just realize we're a little bit over, but I wish you guys nothing but the best in your career. Cheers.